So in this quick tutorial, we're just looking at what we've created so far. In my drive, I've created a meeting notes folder. I've created a meeting note template, meeting note form, and from the form, the spreadsheet gets created. So here's my meeting notes form, here's my meeting notes spreadsheet, and here's my meeting notes template. Notice the merge tags. Any place that I have a merge tag, and notice they exactly meet, or they exactly match the names of my form. So on my form, I've got my questions in the edit mode of my form. A couple of things to add when you're working on the form here. Go to settings. If you want to collect the email address, and number one, restrict it to Wallowa Valley. That means no one but people in Wallowa Valley could take this form. And if I collect the email address, then I'll actually know who created the form. There's another piece here where you could, turn on or off the show link to another form, and you can change this confirmation message if you need to. So those are a couple things I found out under the gearbox. Okay, you need to be logged into Wallowa Valley to fill this out. Then we need to go to the add-ons. Now, if you don't have the Form Publisher add-on, you need to come here. You need to come under these three dots and get add-ons. Now, there's a number of add-ons that you can do for a form. The one we're looking for is Form Publisher, and I already have it installed, so I wouldn't be looking for that, but there's other things you might use in the future. So I've already got Form Publisher, so I'm going to run through and show you how I actually run Form Publisher. You may first have to go to add-ons and install it. So Form Publisher, I'm going to get started. So the very first thing I do is come up and it wants me to authorize Form Publisher. I'm going to say OK to that. And then it runs through its sequence here. So getting started with Form Publisher. First question it asks is, do I have a template file? Yes, it's a document. It could be a document, a sheet, or a slide. Google Picker comes up and says, what is it? Well, it's my meeting notes document that I have right there. So that's the template I'm going to use. And it comes in and says, okay, it found 3 markers. Let's see what it didn't find. It says there's no marker in my template for meeting name. Okay, I thought I did have a template meeting name. Let me go ahead and pause this. So when I went back and looked at this, I saw on here that meeting name was all in uppercase, and that's why on here it didn't find it. So now that I've corrected that, I came over here and corrected it. That's why I very specifically say make sure any merges are exactly the same on the document as they are on the form. So I'm going to tell this to check that. So now it found 4 markers. It found the attendees, the meeting name, the date, and the notes. Okay, so then I would continue on. It found all my markers. Do I have a drive folder? You could say no and it would create one. I always make mine ahead of time, and I do have one. So I'm going to say yes, because I'd already created one and I called it Submitted Meeting Notes. And if you do that ahead of time, then you actually have that. Now when you get to the destination folder and naming, we're going to put it in there. The file name is going to be created, is going to be Meeting Notes, and then it's going to want to use this increment. But what I think I would rather do is sort these by date. So I'm going to use my merge tag, date, and I'm going to use the meeting name, and I need to use the merge tag, and I'm going to make sure there's a space there, and then put a space there. So now the title is going to be called Date whatever the meeting name is, Johnson, Henry, whatever, and then the template meeting notes. That's what's the title of the document. I want to save the generated file URL in my spreadsheet. I go next, and it says, okay, who's going to get this? Well, the person who sends it, who fills it out, is going to get an editable version of this. Okay, and we're going to notify them by email, and we're going to edit the email. And the email that comes across is going to actually be from WV Center for Wellness, and the subject of the email is going to be the file name. We'll just leave it at that. Your file has been successfully generated. You could change this. I'm going to leave it as the default and just close that out. And then I say done. Now what's going to happen, I've got Form Publisher set up now. The form is ready. I'm going to try it. It takes me to a blank form. I put in the meeting name. This is going to be, Henry Johnson. The attendees are Tim Welch, and maybe Henry is there, and maybe John is there, okay? The date, I click on the date, I fill it out, it was on the 27th, and this is where on my phone, I would maybe keep the note with Google Keep, because I could dictate, and what I would do then is probably take the requirement of having the note filled out right now. So this is what we talked about, and then you would fill this out. You could do this on your phone and dictate this field, but I think it might be easier to do this hybrid where we use Google Keep. So I'm going to go ahead and submit that. And then I end up coming right back and I could submit another form. Now let's go back over and see what happens here. In the submitted meetings, I'm going to, in a moment, get a new copy of the meeting. Number one, if we take a look at the spreadsheet, we'll see that the information has gone onto the spreadsheet, and back in here now on the Google Drive, I'll go ahead and refresh that. In the Google Drive, I'm going to see this new document, and notice it's dated. I'm going to open that up and show you. So this is what happened when we filled this out. The name of the meeting is Henry Johnson. I put in these people as attendees, this date, and that note. So I filled all this out on my phone on the fly, and it automatically created this document inside of this folder. And I could decide to view that as a list view. If I do it this way, then all of my documents are going to be sorted by this date that we would be putting in as we go ahead and make that. So again, in a quick summary, I created a folder in my drive called Meeting Notes. I put in a form. I created a template document, which, by the way, I'll show you very quickly. I got that from a template, Google Docs template. In the Wallowa Valley Center for Wellness, I actually have put a form out there. So I'm going to put that away. And then this gets created from the meeting notes. Notice my data that I collect is showing in responses, and I had opened this sheet from here, and it had placed that sheet there. So I take a look at my drive. I have a template, a form, a spreadsheet, and the folder where I collect all of my data.